Lando Norris is without a doubt the most talented, successful driver in Formula One without a Grand Prix victory. Now, many of us think, listen, it's just a matter of time, especially with how the McLaren looks now. I mean, remember at the start of the season, 15th, 17th, DNF, 14th. It was a joke. Both of these guys couldn't get shit done in that car. But Lando Norris is of this new generation of Formula One drivers. Those drivers include Pierre Gasly, George Russell, Esteban Ocon, Carlos Sainz. You can include Max Verstappen in that, Charles Leclerc. And all of these guys, except for Lando Norris, have a victory. Now, most of these guys will only maintain the one victory they have most likely because a couple of them are pretty mid. I would say out of those guys I named that do have a Grand Prix victory, only one, and the four people you see in this picture, George Russell is actually a talent. I know he hasn't been performing too well of late in Mercedes, but that guy kicked everybody's asses in F2. I mean, all these guys. He just beat them all out. He's super good driver. He just needs to find his way back into that Mercedes. Pierre Gasly is the definition of a journeyman driver. He will only be a points driver from now on. He had his chance at Red Bull, and from what the rumors were, and even I think Christian Horner and Helmut Marko admitted to this, he chewed out Adrian Newey, probably the most important person in Formula One history other than a driver. And even then, he's probably more important than 99.99% of drivers that's ever existed in Formula One. And he never took accountability for all the shitty performances he would do. You know, he'd show up. And the same thing with Albon. I know Albon got kind of knocked around by Hamilton, but Pierre Gasly just would have terrible performances where it's like, you're in 12th position, bro. This is like Valtteri Bottas and Mercedes. When Lewis is winning, he's in 9th. You know, it's a joke. You just have to move on. Pierre Gasly got super, super lucky at that Monza Grand Prix. You know, both of those guys taking each other out and everything, and all the different weird pit stop scenarios. That's really his luckiest moment, and he'll probably never be able to replicate that again. And after Alpine, maybe he'll be a journeyman driver back in a Haas or an Alfa Romeo, but not much other than that. Esteban Ocon is actually one of his more skilled drivers. He actually came from nothing. Unlike all of these guys who have big financial backings, specifically Lando Norris, his dad's worth like hundreds of millions of dollars. Esteban Ocon comes from a completely normal French family who put a lot of time and effort into giving him the opportunity and ability to get into Formula One. And I was really happy that he won that Hungarian Grand Prix. I was so bullshit when Lewis Hamilton was like hunting everybody down. We really have to thank Fernando Alonso for that victory, because if he didn't hold up Hamilton for all those laps, God knows what would have happened, and Ocon would just have a second position. Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz is probably the worst out of all these drivers, I would say. He's just mid, never gets anything done. He's happy to stay in the middle of the pack because somehow he'll be able to retain his championship lead over Leclerc, because Leclerc is a total basket case, and if he's not winning, he somehow can't put everything together and he gets depressed. So Carlos Sainz is a mid driver. Really was given an opportunity at the British Grand Prix. It's weird. All of these victories these guys have, other than probably George Russell, were actually earned through the disadvantage of others. Carlos Sainz really won that Grand Prix because Max Verstappen got some piece of either, I think it was Yuki Tsunoda's AlphaTauri stuck in his floor and it just slowed him down. He ended up 10th, having to put Mick Schumacher into the grass to maintain his position on the last corner of the last lap. But Carlos Sainz really benefited from that. He's a joke to most people in the cockpit. You know, he's not going to get anything done. He'll be out of Ferrari after 2024, and I don't know if necessarily he'll be picked up, because I don't think he could be like a journeyman driver like a Pierre Gasly who can get you points. You know, he can barely perform well at a Ferrari team that, you know, has all the resources. He should be able to go at least hunt down some people. He's happy to just stay in his position and do the parade laps of just following the other car and not really keeping that many cars behind him, keeping the cars that don't have the speed or the car like a Ferrari behind him. But Lando Norris, a guy who is given so many opportunities from McLaren as of late, had an opportunity in Russia to win. That's why you hear him on the radio asking the engineers, asking all the people, in the shop, what should I do? Is this the right position to pit? Is this the right, should I hold back on the tires? Are they degrading too much? He listens now, because that Russian Grand Prix that he had a great chance of winning, if he had pitted and listened to the team, he would have won that Grand Prix. He would have beaten Lewis Hamilton, and he would have already a victory to your name. And you say, Alex, listen, like you said at the start of the video, he's going to win a race eventually. Never, ever be sure of anything in Formula One. How many times have you said, future Formula One world champion, oh man, he's going to have such a great career when he gets to the next team? There are so many wheels being spun in Formula One, okay? Not only do you have to be an insanely talented driver to get to a top team, you have to have the financial backing, possibly partnership, whether a team wants you or not based on how you race. There's so many moving factors. Many people thought Charles Leclerc would be a world champion already. Many people thought Sergio Perez would be able to challenge Max this year. Many people thought Lewis Hamilton could win an 8th title. He still could, but after that season where, oh no, we're going to get it back, our car will be better than ever, Lewis Hamilton hasn't won a race in like 33 Grand Prix. George Russell has won one race at a Mercedes team that up until the time he showed up there had won over 100 Grand Prix, okay? So there is never a definite in Formula One. The best team can be lowered to the worst team within a season or be relegated to the middle pack. Ferrari has not won a championship since 2007, okay? You never know what's going to happen. McLaren could bounce back this season, start doing well, and then Mercedes could go into the shop. James Allison, the designer of the most F1 championship victories other than Adrian Newey, could get that car back into position. Red Bull could stay as dominant as they are, and Ferrari could somehow get their act together, and then McLaren is 4th best team, or they drop off and fall off like they did last season. This is stuff that will always happen. Now, the best chance Lando Norris has for a victory is for something to happen to Max Verstappen this season. If he does, Sergio Perez has been so inconsistent that he could possibly win a race, because I think he'll be able to hold off a Lewis Hamilton in that Mercedes. I think he's a better driver than Lewis right now, and I think he has a better car than Lewis right now. However, if that isn't gotten done this season and the McLaren doesn't improve upon next season, he will not win a race until he's signed to Red Bull, which they're eager to do after the 2024 season, and then and only then will he have a chance at winning a Grand Prix. Thanks for listening to this video. If you have any comments, please put them below and I'll respond to you. Also, like and subscribe so we can grow this channel. Thank you.